Alright guys, so today we have a 40,000 mile update. What I wish I knew when I first purchased this car, and should you buy it. So this is the latest generation of Honda CR-Vs, and look at that, we got an older gen pulling up right there. But let's get into it. So we'll be reviewing some of the stuff I mentioned in the video prior when I had 6,000 miles on, if some of those things got better or not. And would I purchase this vehicle again? So overview of my Honda CR-V. So it's got quite a few upgrades compared to the standard model. So we got our little Mugen calipers on there, we got a little Mugen logo, we got our hood air deflector installed at the dealership, we got our tinted Honda emblem in the front, we got a little tow hook right there. What else have we done to this thing? We've chrome deleted all of the windows, so I did those by hand. We added the roof racks, we added a sport tailgate, so that adds a couple extra inches on the back, and then we added our rear diffuser. We've blotted out our logos here, so everything has been chrome deleted fully. So, and then if we go on the inside, we can see the changes we've done there. So we've added our EKR seat covers, so those are looking mighty beautiful. We've added our little red pedals here for our regen mode, and then little red dials. And what else have we added to this thing? A few more upgrades coming, but that's the gist of it. That gets this car looking pretty different from the standard one that you're going to find at the dealership, but all easy modifications to do to get your vehicle looking super fresh. Okay, so 40,000 miles later, how do I like this car? It's great. Let's just say that it is an amazing vehicle. Some of the things I mentioned early on haven't gotten changed really. Some things have gotten better. So an overview, one of the things that was originally bothering me was that wireless charger. It's still kind of useless if you have any phone with like a large camera bump. It's just not strong enough to bridge that gap. So the space is currently just filled. As you can see, I have dry eyes, but it's currently just filled with random stuff. And then we got our little device in the back there that helps convert this into like a little YouTube player and Disney Plus player, Netflix, etc. I got a video on that if you'd like to see that as well. But overall, like, let's just talk driving experience. Super comfy ride. Turning this thing is just super, great response. It feels nice to drive. It's a smooth ride. It's not bumpy. You're not feeling the road like a lot of lower set sedans or anything with tight suspension. This is a comfy ride through and through. So very happy with that. I love the seats. They are cozy, plenty of cushion. They got seat heaters as well. You got a little switch right there. With the seat covers, it does go through, but not as much, maybe like 70% as much if you didn't have the seat covers. But overall, still love having my beautiful maroon seat covers on here. Kind of matches my car's aesthetic. If you haven't noticed, it's like a metallic gray, blackish color with the maroon accents everywhere. I change it up sometimes. I used to have white seats and I used to have silver dials, so whatever we're feeling like, we can switch it up whenever we want. Easy to do. A few of the other things that initially annoyed me about the vehicle was the glasses holder. It is plastic, so that will still rattle around unless you put some little foam inserts here. Not like a hard fix, but like, why didn't they just do that from the get-go? The other issue, I did have like when I was backing up, it would randomly send off an alert telling me my reverse sensors were like triggered. That has gone away since like the last over-the-air update, so no longer have that issue when going in reverse. We used to also have a little audio glitch where if you like answered a call or hung up, it would transfer, instead of the sound coming out of your Bose system, it would come out of the little Bluetooth speaker system, which is like up here in the middle of the car. And obviously there's no bass, and it's only meant for like voice, not for music. So it would get stuck there and just your music would be there until you stop driving. But that's gone away since the last update as well. Other issues, we had the 2 recalls. So we had the bigger ones where they had to replace the little spring in the steering wheel. And then there's one with the fuel pump. It's not really like an issue. I think they found like very, very few of them, like one in one batch that had an issue. So they basically send this little device out to all the dealerships and they'll stick it in your fuel pump area, and then just make sure it's not emitting certain particles. And the dealer I was at said every single one of them has passed it, so it's just like a safety checkup. It's not like they have to change your high pressure fuel pump or anything like that. And the steering one, some people were having issues with like sticky steering. I never had that issue, and it's still pretty rare. But they'll just swap out the spring and they basically just change a tiny little spring and then put some grease over it. Easy fixes compared to like a lot of other automakers. You know, I've had this thing for 40,000 miles. I have friends with like Mercedes SUVs and Genesis SUVs and Hyundai's, Honda, all that good stuff. They've had way more issues and way worse issues than I've had. I'm actually super happy so far. Like I've literally had no issues with mine. All those recalls were just, you know, I just went in and they fixed it, but never had any personal issues. Driving my vehicle never prevented me from getting anywhere. Occasional those warning sounds, but it wasn't like stopping me from working the vehicle. It was just in reverse. But overall, like, Honda has really nailed it with this SUV in particular. It is just magnificent. I think they've done everything right from the looks. It's a very beautiful design, especially for like more premium economy vehicle. It is still, you know, it's a Honda, Toyota, not like a luxury brand, but like it looks super nice and the materials are super nice for what it is. So I'm very happy with this purchase. Would I do it again? Yes. I do wish I originally got like a better deal on it, but this was like one of the first ones in Southern California. I actually bought it in 2022. It is a 2023, but it's the same car as the 24, 25. There's been like no changes at all to these vehicles. So very, very happy. Would definitely do it again. And if you're watching this video and you're trying to decide between, you know, a Toyota, Hyundai, Ford, all that stuff, I think Honda's the way to go. The interior is just so much roomier than the Toyota RAV4. Overall, that car is like 1 or 2 inches smaller in all dimensions, and I just can't fit my legs in that car, and I can't fit anybody in the back seat. The trunk space is smaller. It wasn't it for me. Great vehicle, Toyota, but it's just like, why not get something with a little bit more space if you're in the same price range? And then don't even mess with Hyundai or Kia. Those things have so many engine issues. Just Google, YouTube, like Hyundai, you know, issues, and then you just see like tons of stuff about the engines blowing up and having to take them in so often. Even the Genesis, like they're better because at least they'll drive out like a loaner car to you, but like, why? I've never had that issue with my Honda. So you get what you could pay for, but you also, you know, the quality in certain auto manufacturers is much better than others. So do your research. I did mine pretty extensively before I bought my SUV, and it paid off because I'm, you know, very happy with this vehicle. The only other issue that a lot of these newer vehicles have is that they don't have the spare tire. So as you can see, I got a lot of stuff going on in here, and this bottom area is where I keep my modern spare tire. I have like a little mat over it and just some storage bins, and I've got my little MUSLOGY rear cover to keep all that hidden. Oops, there we go. But it does kind of limit your space a little bit if they were able to fit the spare tire in the bottom, which I feel like they could have if they did a little bit better with the engineering. So that is probably the biggest downside of this vehicle, is that if you want a spare tire, it's going to take up some space. It kind of sucks because they just kind of retrofitted the regular CR-V to become a hybrid. So underneath here is the battery, and then just a bunch of wasted space. It's not big enough to fit the tire under, but just enough to like waste the space. So I feel like if they push the battery maybe under the seats or something, they could have still had the spare tire. But for the sake of like their manufacturing lines and not changing things up to be a whole nother production line, they just kind of retrofitted the regular CR-Vs to become hybrids. So that is like the only major issue, I would say, if you're really deciding between vehicles with spare tires and those without. Outside of that, very nice car. Ignore the amount of junk I have in the back right now, but another huge benefit is these doors open like fully 90 degrees out. So getting in your car seats or just boxes or bigger things, I'll throw my bikes in here occasionally. Much easier when you can do this and, you know, put these down. We got our back seat covers. I'll do that with that chair too. I can load up 1 or 2 bikes from here, one from the back, and I've taken 3 bikes out with this car, and I could probably jam 4 in there if I really wanted to, but that makes it a lot easier to get things around. I feel like with the RAV4 you're not going to be able to fit as much compared to the CR-V. So nice benefit that the doors do open up fully. Some vehicles will stop like right around here, which makes it like super useless as a door, in my opinion. So super high scores for comfort, for handling, the feel of the road, the feel of the steering wheel, the whole looks, the aesthetic. It's beautiful, it feels good. We still have the plastic gas pedal, but again, 40,000 miles later, no issues. You can see it is connected electronically. So that pedal, it's all electronic system right there. The brakes though, they are metal, so that's great. So you can push as hard as you want on there. And honestly, that's the only thing you're really gonna be pushing hard at. We're not trying to floor this thing. I mean, if you're trying to get a car that goes fast, you're looking in the wrong category. So in terms of functionality and use and speed, especially when you get that thing into sport mode up here, that is super nice and pretty quirky. So I like the pickup when you go into sport mode. Normal mode is good, but not quite enough if you're trying to, like, you know, gain speed and get someone over on the freeway. But if you flick it into sport mode, you're zooming, and that takes, I don't know, I think like 2 or 3 seconds off that 0 to 60 speed, which is great. Okay, so fuel efficiency next. I've been averaging about 35.5 miles per gallon over the 40,000 miles. Your usage may vary. If you're in a hotter area, if you're in a colder area, your battery's not going to work as great. Hotter area, I think it does better. If you're doing more streets, you're going to hit closer to 40 miles per gallon. I do like 90% freeway driving, so getting the 35 is still pretty great with that. So if you're doing more freeway driving in general, hybrids aren't going to benefit you as much because the battery only kicks in on the lower speeds. So if you're driving fast, your engine will actually shift from becoming a generator to power the battery system into like a direct drive to your wheels. So it just becomes a normal gas car at that point. But if you do a lot of streets, that's where the hybrid is going to benefit you the most. And this is the Sport Touring Edition, which is the higher level trim and the higher level hybrid. If you primarily drive freeway like all the time, then you might want to consider the gas version and maybe like just the leather trim, but that's going to probably net you around the same 30 plus miles per gallon. So let's talk about maintenance. Some vehicles incredibly hard to maintain yourself because they'll put access to certain items in like ridiculous spots. Not with a Honda. Very easy to maintain your vehicle. So back here we have where the engine air filter is. You just kind of take out those 2 bolts right there and kind of slide it over, pop it out, and you can replace your air filter for about like 20 bucks yourself. If you take it to the dealer, they're going to charge you probably closer to 50, but it's incredibly easy to do yourself. It's not like hidden under like other parts that you have to take out, so no need to go to the dealer for that when you don't want to. And then let's see what else. So changing the oil was also easy. You do have to get under the vehicle. I have a video on that, but you just take out a couple screws and drop the little pan, and then you have access to your oil. You can drain it, top it off over here. But again, super easy to do. It's not like you have to completely dismantle the undercarriage of the car. Some vehicles, they'll put their battery like deep down in there and you have to like take off parts of the engine to even get in there. But sorry, I know I tapped this. Battery's here. This is the fuse box, but it's here. It's like it doesn't get any easier. It's like right here. I know like Porsches, you have to like dismantle like half of the car, and they put the battery like somewhere awkward. Of course, we're not really comparing this to a Porsche, but you get the idea. It's easy to take care of this vehicle yourself. So a super high score in terms of being able to maintenance this thing yourself. And let's talk about the engine. So we got that 2-liter naturally aspirated engine, no turbos, which I love because I feel like turbos in general, they're just like compensating for a weaker engine, pushing more air in and kind of just overworking a smaller engine to get more power out of it. But that kind of reduces the longevity of the engine. But if you got something naturally aspirated and is strong enough, you're not really putting so much strain on it to the point where it's just going to wear out sooner. So I feel like this is one of the best engines Honda's made and it is going to be out on their newer cars, and I think they might be putting it on the new Prelude as well. It's in their hybrid Accord, but beautiful engine, and I've had zero issues with this thing over 40,000 miles. I keep the bay clean, and it kind of acts like a generator when you're going like 30 miles and under, and then over that, or like 450 and over, it'll between 30 and 50 kind of goes back and forth, and 50 over on the highway, it's direct connecting to your wheels and sending the power there. So one of the better engines they've made, and here we'll take the cover off so you can see everything. But there you go. This is just a little foam cover for looks and keeping it there. Put that back in. But again, love that they didn't put, I know the base trims do have the 1.5 liter with the turbo. So again, they're squeezing more out of less. So I'm not sure how long those cars will last with their engines. I'm a fan of like trying to get as many miles out of a car as possible, so I'm gonna try to take this thing to 300,000. So we'll keep having updates all the way till then. But for now, it's been amazing. Literally no issues, easy to service, and easy to keep track of. So definitely grab yourself a Honda CR-V. What else? Road noise, non-existent, super well insulated. Insulation everywhere. I can't hear anything. I can't even hear like ambulances drive by sometimes, which is kind of scary. The sun visor is great. I do wish it had a double fold because I'll get sun coming at both angles. Like the sun's always right here in the morning. But you know, whatever, that's fine. Maybe I can buy an attachment for that. And braking is great. No issues there. Overall, yeah, what else do we need to talk about cars with? Let's see. Yeah, the steering wheel heater, sorry, is very nice in the mornings. Love that feature. Use it super often. The horn is that little same horn. So it's got the little toot toot horn, which is good. Everyone's agitated these days. It's not gonna piss anyone off. But sometimes if you're on the road, it might not be loud enough. I know some people are. There is a spot where you can plug in a second one, and a lot of people are just buying them off the Honda website and adding that. Let's see. The lights are automatic, which is great. So at night, it's turning everything on and off itself. It'll automatically high beam if there's no other cars coming at you and it's pretty dark. So those are all beautiful features that modern cars mostly have. But it works super well on the Honda. The lane steering assist is my favorite, as well as with the radar. Those two combined, I can just sit back and relax on my 1 hour drive to work. It's pretty good. I'll say like 95% effective at keeping you in your lane on the freeway. If the lanes get a little dodgy and the paint's gone, it will kind of not follow along, obviously, but you can see it'll be a green light when it's activated. And then this is really great because it'll keep you at either like a 4, 3, 2, or 1 car distance from the car in front of you, depending on what you switch it to. And you can lock in your speed, so it'll speed up and slow down for you using that radar we saw on the front. And the camera up here is what controls the lane assist. So that by far is like one of my favorite features. So if you're commuting, it will slow down, and it'll gauge things way better than you can because it uses a radar. So it might not look like that car is slowing down as much, but it is. It will slow you down and save your butt. So that is one of my favorite features, honestly. OEM floor mats are not so great. So these are LASFIT, which are amazing. I've been loving these floor mats. The OEM ones, for example, don't even cover this section. They don't go as far. They let your carpet get worn out since they don't cover as much. These go all the way up to the edge. So these have been amazing. They've been super easy to clean. Got on the driver's side, passenger side, and the back, so all that will come off pretty easy later on. But they are just form fitted, so definitely watch my video on these and pick yourselves up a set of LASFIT floor mats if you are getting any vehicle, honestly. Even if you don't end up buying the CR-V, they make them for like everything. So one of the best companies for floor mats. Back to fuel mileage, so 35-ish miles a gallon. The total range it'll take me is about 470 miles a tank. And right now gas in California is $4.50 a gallon. That costs me about $40 to fill this tank. It'll usually take about 10 gallons. It is a 13-gallon tank, but even if you get to the point where it's like, oh, you got 10 miles left, it really only takes like 11 at the max. So it has like a 2-gallon reserve that it doesn't really tell you about. And in general, you don't want to go low, because if you go too low, you're going to be causing some issues with your engine, your fuel pump sensors and everything. You should always have some gas in the car. But great range, you know, compared to people with EVs and other SUVs that aren't hybrid. They're getting like the EVs, I don't know, Teslas can be terrible, like 180 at best, like 250 miles for their range. And then, you know, they always have charge anxiety. I've had friends who are like, hey, I gotta stop for an hour, I'm not gonna be there in time. I'm just like, dude, that's annoying as heck. So being able to drive from San Diego to Los Angeles, from LA to Vegas, and not having to stop for gas or to charge or anything, that is so comfortable, and I love the range on these things. I do wish instead of like a lighter 13-gallon tank that they had like a standard 16-gallon tank like I've had on my Lexus sedans in the past. Then this thing would get, I don't know, something ridiculous, 600-700 miles per tank. But you know, it cost me half as much to fill up. I used to pay around closer to $80 for that 16-gallon tank, and now I'm getting more, like extra 120 miles out of this, and I'm paying half as much. So fuel savings are definitely there. Great to have a hybrid. I think it's worth it in the end, especially because when you have a hybrid system, your engine's only being used half as much. You know, it's going off the electric motors the other half or third or whatever. So you're putting less strain on your strain is split over two systems versus like a solo electric or solo gas is putting all the strain on one system. So in theory and in practice also, your vehicle will last a lot longer in general. I just went to have my brakes checked, for example, and you know, I'm at 40,000 miles. The guy asked me, oh, did you just have these replaced? They look, you know, brand new. And I'm like, no, those are the factory originals. And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's a hybrid. And he's like, oh, it's a hybrid. But because this thing has the regen system for the braking, it like almost never touches the brake pads. So from like even what they've seen, like these things you can go your whole car life without having to change out the brake pads. And then, you know, same thing with the engine. So if you're using the electric half of the time, gas isn't on, you're putting less miles onto your engine, your gas engine. Your oil doesn't get used as much, so you don't have to change it as frequently. You know, after like 5,000 miles, it's still pretty clean oil compared to, you know, a standard ICE vehicle. And obviously electrics don't have oil, but in terms of, you know, the motors burning out, it does happen. I've had friends with Teslas and their motors just kind of crap out. You know, there's one guy online who's got like 1 million miles on his Tesla, but what they don't tell you is he's swapped his motors like 10 times, and it's not even the same car anymore at that point. So the fact that it splits up everything, you know, overall you're going to get more miles out of your car, which is the beauty of having a hybrid. So overall, I would say I would definitely buy this vehicle again. If you're thinking about it, this car or another car, just stop your search, grab yourself a Honda CR-V hybrid. Beautiful vehicle. Follow my other videos to see all the other modifications and changes I've done with it. Thank you guys for watching these videos. This channel was like an accident entirely. I only put up one video at the beginning just to show the color of the car, because Honda hadn't put out a vehicle in metallic metal gray before, so I didn't even know what it was like when I reserved it. And that video is just me walking around showing the paint, and I got like a crazy amount of views, and from there this whole channel was created. So I've just been keeping it up. And for those of you that are thinking about purchasing even an older version of this vehicle, it'll do you great as long as the owner before took care of it. But yeah, I have no major complaints. Everything's been super minor. Even my previous videos, those are just me being devil's advocate and finding every little last thing wrong with it. But yeah, thank you guys. Please subscribe. That way I can put out more content and you can follow along in the future. Leave a comment below if you want me to check out any specific products for you guys. I'll be happy to purchase those and make a video on it so that you guys don't have to, and I can test it out for everybody. And then yeah, please drop a like on this video. It helps me out and it helps me make more videos for you guys. So thank you.